Welcome to the Pressbooks product update webinar for the month of September. I'm Steel Wagstaff filling in for Julie Curtis today. Here's our agenda. We've got a lot to cover. We want to talk about some new info and updates, things that we're very excited to share with you as part of our product. We'll have a section where we talk about things that are coming soon, and then we'll talk about upcoming research opportunities where you can help us co-design and shape the product, and then events, webinars, and conferences that we'll be providing or presenting or that you might be attending. And then if there's time, hopefully there'll be a time for community roundtable at the end. So without further ado, I'll jump into the new info and updates. The first thing that we're most excited about is over the last year, especially, we've been working really hard to understand authors' needs around kind of basic editorial and quality assurance processes. And we are now releasing a series of things that we're calling the Pressbooks Content Readiness Toolkit. These will be a set of add-on tools that should make it easier for authors to ensure that content's ready to publish. The ones that we have planned for release this year are the three that I've listed below. One is called the Accessibility Authoring Tool. It's just been released and it's now available in a free trial for any of our institutional clients. It allows you to check accessibility as you build or edit content, and we'll talk more about that and give a demo. Coming soon, under development, is what we call the Accessibility Monitoring Tool. And that's where you can run a scan of a full book or many books. And they could be existing books that have already been published. And it allows you to do the same kind of thing, identify and fix common issues with accessibility. Both of these are really designed to help institutions and authors kind of self-educate and shift that accessibility kind of burden left into the creation development process and help you all comply with the federal and state guidelines around accessibility to make your materials accessible and inclusive. The third component, which we'll also mention today, is a broken link checker tool. And it does what it does. It helps you easily find broken links in your text. And we'll demo each of these today. So when I say add-on tool, what does that mean? Well, these mean that these are tools that are offered as add-on features for your existing Pressbooks Enterprise network with affordable pricing. People have asked, why is there an extra charge, or why is this not just free? And so the reason is we incur extra costs to develop these things, support them, and maintain them. Some of them are new tools, some integrate with other open source platforms, and all of them have both development and server administration costs. They put a load on our servers. And so we charge, or will charge, a modest fee, an annual fee to the networks to offset our costs. They also allow institutions, rather than just providing to everyone and bumping everyone's price, what we're doing is we're allowing institutions to choose whether they want these or not as part of their subscription. So many people in our community are pretty budget sensitive and may not want these features or may not be able to afford them. And so if that's the case, then you can choose whether to purchase or not. And then for convenience, the goal is to, if you choose to activate or turn them on, we would just prorate the cost for the remainder of the current year or whenever you activate it, and then include it as part of your next renewal fee or next renewal charge. And so it'd be clearly itemized, and you could work out the details with your account manager so that you don't have to do mid-year budget requests. You could just use the feature and then have the cost of usage included in your next renewal charge. The accessibility authoring tool, let's start with that because that's what's just been released. Everyone should have received an email announcement, and you've probably seen a product banner, but what it is it's an in-editor accessibility checker available to authors. It's powered by a tool called Editorially. So Ricardo has worked really hard on this with our dev team, and we've integrated this tool, which was developed by it's an open source tool developed at the Princeton University by John Jameson primarily. What does it do? Well, it flags accessibility issues for authors and creators as they're building or editing content. And it provides suggestions for what to check and how to fix them. The pricing for this, our planned pricing, will be $299 a year for a single institutional network and $499 a year for shared networks. And that would be for unlimited usage across all books on the network. So we try to make the price modest and affordable. Hopefully it's a fraction of your annual expense. And the free trial for this tool is now available through November 5th. All it requires is network managers to opt in. You can either do it yourself inside the product, or you can send an email to premium support or your account manager, and we'll activate it. Once it's active, it will be available to all books on your network. During that free trial, we'll solicit feedback, and we'll be talking with users and network managers to understand what you like, what you want to improve, and then make improvements. After the free trial, network managers can then decide, yeah, we want to keep it on, and then roll that charge into your annual expense, or you could discontinue use. So that's how it will work.
Steel, so in the case of TCC, we are a shared network with the state.
Yeah.
So that has to be turned on at their level.
Yes, Open Oklahoma Network. So talk to your network manager, or we can talk to them on your behalf and
Okay,
make that happen.
I'll ping Tracy.
Okay, great.
And then if we do choose to add it beyond November 5th, it would be $4.99 for the state's instance.
That's correct.
Okay. If the state chooses not to do it, can TCC? We probably can't then, right? We have to go with what they say.
In the situation of shared network, yeah, it's going to be a network level decision.
Okay.
For
Awesome.
now.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, thanks. Great question.
I think we're in a similar situation because we're going through eCampus Ontario, right?
Correct.
I'm assuming, are you going to demo it a bit in this
Yeah,
video?
there'll be a demo here
Okay.
shortly. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I want to show next. This is what it will look like. There's user notifications. First, if you're a network manager, when you log into your network dashboard, you will see a banner that looks like this. It tells you what it is. It gives you a link to the information page. And if you want to enable it yourself, you click the button and it will just turn it on for you. And you're opting into the free trial. Once you have done that, or if you have done that, then what will happen will be there'll be a dismissible banner that shows up in the book dashboard for all users. Because this is a new tool and feature, there's just an informational banner that says this tool has been activated on your network. It will flag any potential accessibility issues as you create content. And then we have a short video that they can watch that shows them how this works. It's a brief product demo. That's on once the plugin gets activated, and a user can choose to dismiss it if they don't want to see it anymore, and it will go away. So now we'll jump into the demonstration. Ricardo, the lead developer who's worked the most on this, will be leading a kind of a live demo for what an author might experience as they turn on the editorially tool. I'll hand it over to you, Ricardo.
I have a chapter here opened. This is the web version of this chapter, and you will see here at the bottom right, you will see a new widget. This is the editorially widget. So this basically have some options for you to see here. And one of those options you will see this number 21. This is the number of accessibility issues that this chapter has. So I can navigate through them using this arrow. I will do that in a moment. And then you also have some links to access to the report. We'll go to how this report looks like and more details on that later. And here you will see other options here. So in order to show you very quickly how it works, you can just navigate through this arrow here. You will see one of the issues I have in this sample chapter is that this image doesn't have an alternative text. So here I have some options to see what's the problem is with more details. And I can just mark this as okay. I can ignore it, or I can find similar issues in this chapter to find. So I can also navigate through the next issue, clicking here in this arrow or just clicking here. So I will click here. You will see this is another image with no alternative text. And I will navigate a little bit more to find different issues. This is another issue, for example, that requires some manual intervention. This is headings. There is a heading tag without any text. So you will see here it's kind of invisible, but we'll see that in a moment that I can identify that better and fix that. So this is the web version of the chapter with this widget that will allow me to identify and analyze the different accessibility issues. But if I go to edit here, I have the permissions to edit this chapter. You will see here, this widget is also integrated into the editor side of the chapter. So I will be able to identify the issues here as well, just like the web version of it. And I will be able to also navigate through them using this arrow, this one. And I have the same options, mark as okay, but now what I can do, which is better, is not only identify them, but also fix them. So for example, this issue, it says this image has not alternative text. So I can just close for now this. I will edit this image and I will add here, and I will say Brian as an example. So I will update this. And you will see here, the issue is not anymore here. So in real time, I was able to fix it and editorially is not able to identify any issue in this particular image anymore. Another interesting thing I can do is, for example, this is another issue we saw earlier. This is the heading tag without any text. So if I go to the code part of this, you will see I have a heading without any text. So I can remove this heading or just add a new text here. So for example, in this case, I will just remove it. I can remove here in the visual side, and you will see the issue is not here anymore. It's not. So in that way, I can in real time fix those issues and identify them. And also, if I write something, I will do something else here. So let's say at the end of this paragraph, I can say more information in, and I will put just an example, pressbook.com. And what I would do is to create a link for this. So you will see in real time editorially identify an accessibility issue. And it says, is this link text or URL? So probably one way to fix this is to replace this, say, in Pressbooks website, and I can just create a link. And that way I'm able to create and edit content, and editorial will be able to identify that in real time. So that's one thing we can do with editorially with this authoring tool. Here
Ricardo, would you just pause for just a second? I just want to make sure that we're not, if anybody has questions. So from Ricardo's demo, the first thing that he was showing was how editorially appears in the reading view of Pressbooks. That will only appear if you're logged into the book and have access to editorially. So it won't appear on the public version of the book. If you're a visitor to the book, you won't see it, but people who are logged in the book will see it. And the integration with the editor is also only obviously for people that have edit access in the book. These tests or these checks that editorially is running, some of them are automatic, like they're red, some are yellow, and the yellow ones tend to be, it's just prompting you for a manual check. Editorially isn't sure whether it's a problem or not. And so you have to exercise some discretion or discernment to say, oh, this is a problem, it isn't. But in doing so, it will try to give you suggestions or ideas for how to fix. And generally, editorially will only suggest things that authors actually have the ability to fix themselves. Hopefully, it won't be prompting them to do stuff that they can't actually control, but that they can control with the editor. There was a question about research. We'll talk about that in later. Anything else for Ricardo that people wanted to ask? Okay, thanks, Ricardo. Go ahead and you can proceed with the next part of the demo.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that, Steel. And then finally, I will show you very quickly the report side of this. So you will find a new sidebar menu item here called editorially. So you can click here and you will be able to see some interesting reports about the accessibility issues we just talked, and others one that were identified. So in order to see the different issues in the report, you need to go to visit those chapters in the web version of it. So editorially, we will be able to capture the issues and register that in the report. So in this example, I visited multiple chapters of this book, and editorial was able to find some of the issues. So here you will find the recent issues table. So you can find here the page title, one was detected, the link to the chapter, and the status. You can also find here, this column, the count is the number of occurrences of the issue identified here. So for example, the text as URL issue is 10 times in this particular chapter. More information you have here, you have the issues by page. So you can find different issues by page. You have here the page, the status, the author, and the path and everything. And then you have different issues types. If you want to see, for example, what are the issues that are more frequent in these analyzed chapters, and you will see I have 22 pages with this particular issue. So this seems to be one of the common issues I need to fix, or the most with more occurrence. And then I have the dismissal. So as I show you before, you have different actions that you can take for different issues. One of them is just mark as okay or ignore it. So you can find here those issues, the ignored one in this particular section. So that's basically the report. You can also download them as CSV to analyze that in different way or to share that with other people.
Thank you, Ricardo. As you can see, we're very excited about the capabilities of this. We think this will be a much needed, and it has been the most requested feature from our authors and our users for the last couple of years. And we're excited that it's now available. So we hope that everyone wants to activate it and wants to use it. And we hope that your authors are able to use this to find and fix accessibility issues and make the material you publish more inclusive and available to everyone. If you have more questions about it, we can answer them here in this meeting, or you can email them to Premium Support or to your account manager, and we're happy to do what we can to tell you the truth. Thomas, thank you. Thomas also has references, there's now a new chapter in the guide about using this tool that's linked in the chat. We have a new data processing addendum. So we published a data processing addendum that's linked here that provides detail about how we capture, process, and retain educational records. All of our clients are going to receive an email notification about this. This pertains specifically to the Pressbooks results learner data. So this would be if you're using Pressbooks results, your students are launching activities in Pressbooks from the LMS, and then they're performing quizzes and other H5P activities on the Pressbooks servers. We store the email address and the results for each of the students that took those so that we can calculate a grade and send it back to the LMS. The DPA describes in detail what we do with that data, how long we keep it, and what we do after that period. The summary is we retain educational records for 12 months from the time of creation. And we do that so that we can answer questions about grade challenges and other kinds of things. After that 12-month period, we delete and remove those records and don't keep them anymore. That's our policy. We hope that it aligns well with your policies and what your expectations are from vendors. That data is never sold or shared with third parties. It's stored on Pressbooks servers along with the rest of your Pressbooks information. If your institution wants to change that time frame or needs an adjustment, you and your attorneys can read the DPA and request a change in writing, and you would send that message to Premium Support. And the easiest thing for us to adjust is the duration. If you need an adjustment, please let us know after reading that, and we'll do our best to accommodate it. Questions for me about data processing and data processing addendum?
Is that one that can be institution specific, Steel?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably easiest for us to do it at the network level.
Okay.
But if you need it institution specific, you can ask and we'll get back to you. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
The next thing I want to talk about is just a reminder of what Pressbooks Results is and does. Pressbooks Results, as I mentioned before, it's a tool that lets you take built-in H5P activities, automatically grade them, send them to the gradebook, and see detailed drill-down information about student performance on the individual activities. There's an introduction video and more information about it. Just some fun information about this. Pressbooks Results usage has been increasing. So I showed from the first part of the year to the second part so far, we can see now we're up 20% in the number of institutions using it, almost 50% increase in the number of students who are now using Pressbooks Results, and increases for the number of instructors, the number of courses, and the number of books where Pressbooks Results is in use. If you want to use Pressbooks Results or you have instructors that are interested, some resources that will help them are there's an information page available on our website, and then there are also how getting started videos for each LMS. We offered trainings at the start of the term that were LMS specific. They took under half an hour. They were well attended and were a success. We'll do that again in December, I think, leading into the January term. If you have questions in the meantime, you know where to reach us, I think, and we're happy to answer them or provide other information you need, or security reviews, or anything else that your institution needs before they consider using Pressbooks Results. The next thing, this is kind of exciting for me. This is what I was planning to present on instead of the whole thing. But we do an annual customer satisfaction survey. And in that survey, we send out an email to everyone who is a network or institutional manager. And we say, please tell us how we're doing. How satisfied are you with Pressbooks software and services? We take this data really seriously. We try to learn. We use it at the starting point for understanding client satisfaction and try to improve what we offer and how we interact with you, in part based on this survey. Thank you to every one of you that did the survey. And we had 92 responses from 69 unique networks this last year. I'm going to walk through some highlights and just share with you what we learned. First, in terms of the response rate, about one in seven of our network and institution managers responded this year, representing about 40% of our client networks, or 1/3 to 2/5. When we asked them how likely to recommend Pressbooks they are on a scale of 1 to 10, the mean score has been really high over the last 3 years. Thank you, and we hope that that continues. You can see the data, and then these little bars are the margin of error based on the response rate. We also ask everybody, who administers Pressbooks in your institution? And this is pretty interesting. For an enterprise tool that's used for teaching and learning, I think Pressbooks is a little unusual in that in almost every case, it's the library who's administering it. And oftentimes, the library does not administer tools for teaching and learning, but because Pressbooks has scholarly publication and OER uses, I think that's historically why it's been administered in the library. That's followed by Teaching and Learning Center, and we see an increasing proportion of system or consortial level organizations, in part because an increasing number of our clients are now doing Pressbooks at the shared network level, just because of the cost affordances, I think, and what that makes possible. And then way down here is central IT. It's very rare for Pressbooks to be administered by central IT, and that was interesting for us to learn. Then we ask everybody, what do you publish with Pressbooks? And you can see nearly everybody every year says OER or open textbooks. The second most popular type of publications are student publishing projects, including open pedagogy, followed by institutional or administrative publications, things like handbooks, guides, training material. Training and professional learning was a separate category, and those are tracking about the same. Teaching and learning material that was not open licensed or is all rights reserved or proprietary came in next. About a quarter of clients said that that's what they published. The proportion of clients publishing scholarly monographs has been increasing steadily over the last 3 years, and the proportion of clients who said they publish print books has actually been decreasing, kind of in inverse proportion. That was interesting to us. We asked for the first time about micro-credential curriculum. That's a growing area of emphasis. And we saw about 1 in 10 or 1 in 9 of our clients are doing that already. And we asked about journals, trade publication, and other as separate things. And it's a very small proportion of people who do that kind of publishing with Pressbooks from what we learned. We also ask everybody, what are your goals for using Pressbooks? What are you trying to accomplish? And nearly everybody, the thing they say is OER publishing, open education publishing, reducing costs, and making material more accessible for learners. So that is the primary goal of nearly all of our clients. And some common themes we heard was that you want to expand OER adoption, you want to enhance accessibility and equity, you want to support faculty and authors by providing easy-to-use tools, and Pressbooks fits for you in most cases in that. You want to ensure professional quality. People like the themes that Pressbooks makes available and that you can do single source publishing for the web and exports. And many people mentioned having some institutional efficiencies, being able to centralize content management, streamline the workflows either at the institution level or sometimes even at the consortial level, at the shared level. And being able to track usage and impact is important. So those are the things that we heard about goals. And then we asked, how well have we helped you accomplish your goals in the last year? The mean score for this is 8.4. It's been the same over the last 3 years. And you can see the proportion of clients. So the highest proportion said 8 out of 10, and then followed by 10 out of 10, followed by 9 out of 10. And a few people said 7, 6, and I think 2 this year said 4. So we're working on that. If you were one of the people that said 4, we're sorry. We want to do better. And if you're one of the ones that said 10, great. We hope to continue in the coming year. We also asked what has prevented you from accomplishing your goals? And the interesting thing is the top 2 answers every year are structural problems. Other priorities and demands get in the way, which is probably relatable if you work as a professional librarian today and you have tasked with many, many things and many hats to wear. Lack of funding or administrative support was number 2. Again, we're sorry, and it's hard to work in higher ed, especially public higher ed in many cases today. The third thing that people said were Pressbooks is missing key features. We'll talk about that a bit later, and we want to improve that from year to year. One thing that we noticed is the fourth most cited thing was I can't generate interest at my institution, and that proportion has been dropping, and we're glad to see that. We hope that we'll be able to help and assist with that. Our marketing team has produced resources to help with that, and our customer success and support team. We really want to understand what are things that would help you generate interest and find people that have publishing needs. If there's more that we can do there, we're always curious to learn. We asked about usability problems for the first time this year, and we saw 23% of respondents said usability problems. And then a very small percentage said not enough training or support. So generally we get the message that you're getting sufficient training or support. And if you're in the small percentage that isn't, keep your eye out for what we're going to mention later. So we also asked, how do you interact with support resources? And of the respondents, 57% said that they had attended a webinar or a training session in the last year. This is network and institutional managers. That was up from 50% last year. 64%, about the same, said they'd emailed premium support. We provide premium support to all institutional network managers. About 2/3 of the people that responded to the survey had used that. And almost 8 and 9 or 9 and 10 said that they accessed our guide resources or training videos, the self-service resources, and that was up from 85% the year before. We also asked how satisfied you were with these various things. So people told us they were generally quite satisfied with everything. The score for Pressbooks software was a mean score of 8.3. The score for Pressbooks support was a mean score of 8.6, and you can see the values over the last 3 years. And then we asked how helpful on a scale of 1 to 10 were these different modalities. The premium support email was considered extremely helpful. This mean score of 9.3 or 9.2 is extraordinarily high. We're really pleased to see that. Thank you to our support team who answers emails. And the webinars and training sessions was also very high with the mean score of 8.7 this last year. So we said, well, what can we do to improve? And these were the suggestions we got from you. Respondents generally were quite happy. Most respondents had no suggested improvements or said everything was great. But the most common suggestions that we got that were mentioned most often were keep the guides updated for accuracy. Make sure they stay up to date with product updates and changes. And so today, for example, you saw Thomas has already published a guide chapter about the brand new accessibility authoring tool. That's a commitment of ours and we want to work on that. Better structure and better search capabilities. People wanted shorter, more granular chapters, and several of them wanted to be able to search it more easily. Formats and clarity. People wanted multiple modalities, more text, more visuals, more video, or across multiple modalities. And so we started making a few more short videos. They wanted more screenshots, and they wanted clear official branding, because there are lots of cloned versions or other people who have their own Pressbooks guides out there. How do they know they're at the official Pressbooks guide? So that was a message we heard. And then 4 people said they wanted more advanced technical documentation for things like custom CSS, LTI deep linking, metadata, or just best practices for open publishing. So we heard that as a suggestion. And then they were mentioned by 2 people each, but they're important, so we'll mention them. Some people wanted to see chapters in the video recordings, tighter recordings with chapters. We do that for the product updates, and we're trying to do that for all of the longer videos that are, say, 20 minutes or longer, putting chapters so you can jump right to the point you want. That will be in the YouTube video description. And then accommodating global audiences. So consider more time zones when we schedule our webinars. We know that we have clients in Europe, and Australasia, and around the world. So we are trying to schedule in the coming year more webinars in time zones that accommodate more of our global user base. Thank you for that feedback. We also asked, what are some popular, if we were to offer webinars in the training year, or offer webinars in the coming year, what would you want to see? There are a lot of good suggestions, and the ones that were mentioned most, H5P was mentioned the most. That is, in fact, covered in our Create Engaging Learning Materials session that we offer every month. Accessibility was often quite a lot. That's covered in our Prepare Your Book for Publication and Distribution session that's offered every month. Troubleshooting common or tricky issues like with CSS or exports. We don't have a specific webinar about that. Some of it's mentioned in publication distribution, but that's a good idea for a new webinar that we could offer in the coming year. Thank you. Pressbooks Results is also covered in that Engaging Learning Materials session every month, and we offer LMS-specific sessions at the start of each term, so if that's what you were looking for, please attend one of those. Getting Started, several people mentioned. We have a Getting Started session offered every month. Please attend those. And then some people said, we want showcases of what other people are doing, some use cases for creative problem solving. Or we want to hear more from folks about practical workflows and processes that they use to create materials. So that's kind of like peer sharing, peer knowledge building. That's a great idea. We'll look for opportunities to do that at conferences and at webinars in the coming year. And then people said, I want more product updates. I want to give feedback on enhancements you're considering. Well, if that was you, you're in the right place. If this is the meeting that we do that, and we'll keep doing it every month. So that's what we heard and how we're responding to the webinar suggestions. Last but not least, we asked people about desired features. So some people said missing functionality gets in the way of accomplishing their goals. So we gave people 9 choices for creating and publishing books and said, which of these would you most want? Pick up to 3. And when we presented in that way, The most common, and I'll show this in graph chart, the Google Docs word importer was the most popular choice, followed by being able to track changes and make comments, followed by find and use openly licensed images, and an automatic audiobook generator. Collaborative editing and book theme improvements came after that. An AI assistant to help with H5P activity creation got 25% of respondents. Creating and displaying citations, followed by a new visual editor, which was not just was simply not that popular. We then asked about 9 choices for using and managing existing books. And again, we see similar breakdown. The most popular was being able to display ancillary material in your book. The next most popular was to track adoption and adaptation, followed by an automatic alt text generator for images and editioning and versioning capabilities. Those were tied, followed by granular exports, better search capabilities, AI-powered ancillary material, so being able to use AI to generate ancillaries, followed by an AI-powered metadata assistant, help generating good metadata provided by AI. And last was letting authors sell their book with a print-on-demand integration. So you could sell your book or make it available, a print version available for purchase. So that's what we heard from the network managers, and that was informative for us. We also said, let's put all of these together, all 18 ideas, pick one. And when we do that, you're going to see a much broader distribution. But the most popular things that we saw that were loud and clear, survey respondents really do want better tools for the editorial process, how to import content and do collaborative things. And they want tools to help them create and display ancillary materials. So those would be things we're thinking about in the coming year. If you want to see the vote breakdown, Google Docs and Word was in the lead, import. Editorial tools was second, and then generate ancillaries and support, and then supporting materials, and then display ancillary support materials was tied with image alt text generator. After that, it's starting to flat out in a little bit, but that's what we heard when we asked for most desired feature. Okay, I'll stop there. That was a lot on the CSAT. Questions from folks about the CSAT or what we're learning and what we plan to do about it?
I was just going to mention, like with the word imports, we developed something bespoke at our studio that I think is up on our app hub, that does like pull in the images and stuff. It's kind of geared towards the way that our faculty generally, structures the Word document. So it'll automatically create the chapters based on the headings and stuff like that. So it might not be for everybody, but people could check that out. I'll post the link if I pull it
Thanks,
up,
Jason.
and
Yeah, that'd be
you
great.
guys should check it out too. It basically works by using by sort of converting it all into a Pressbooks XML format, and then you can import that.
Clever. Thank you, Jason. Okay, I'm going to try to, I know that we still have a lot to cover and I'm running out of time, so I hope it doesn't feel too rushed, but I want to jump into the coming soon section. The first thing that I'll share here is what's coming next. And we mentioned this last month and we just announced it publicly. We're going to restructure our community forum to make it easier for people to find the answers they're looking for. There's a full announcement on the forum. You probably got notified if you belong to that forum. The new category structure, there'll be a category for Pressbooks product updates. And then the other categories will be based on what kind of user you are. Using Pressbooks, that's for end users. Administering Pressbooks, that will be for all of you, network and institutional managers. That's going to replace the current private group. It'll be a public group and it'll be easier to see and find things. Installing and hosting Pressbooks, that will be for sysadmins and other people who are doing open source installations. Contributing to Pressbooks, that will be for people who are wanting to contribute code or translations that are developing and adding. So that's how the forum will change, and that will happen in the next couple of weeks. So that's coming. The other thing that we mentioned earlier is the broken link checker. So everybody knows about the problem with broken links on the web. I don't need to belabor the point. We have a broken link checker tool that we're really excited about that will be part of the Content Readiness Toolkit. We're planning a limited pilot, and we're ready to show you a demo. So Thomas and Dalcine, I think, are taking that demo. I'll hand it to you.
So I've put some broken links into this book, and here I've accessed the link checker in the left sidebar, and I'm going to check these links throughout the book. So here we have, this is not a working link.com, obviously flagged for, but then we also have chapter with a misspelled URL that was also flagged, a chapter that once existed in the book that I deleted was flagged. And then this fourth one here is a link to a chapter in a different book that was formerly public but then set to private. And that's also flagged as it requires login in order to read. For a larger book, the job takes a bit longer. You can navigate away from the page as the scan is in progress. And you can also opt for an email notification when it's finished. There's also a CSV download option for the report, as Dalcine mentions.
In the report, as Thomas mentioned, you're going to see all of the links that were broken, the page that they occurred in, the href of the link, the text that was represented by the link, and then a status and description. So you know a bit more information about in what way it was broken or in what way we detected this as broken. So that's what's included in the link check right now. As Thomas said, I'll take over, Sricha. Thank you, Thomas. As Thomas said, we're beginning a limited pilot for the broken link checker. We're expecting this will run from October through November of this month or of this year. If you want to opt in as a network manager, you can just email Premium Support and say, we'd like to be in the pilot. We will activate this tool for you. When it's activated, the broken link checker will be available to all books on your network. And we're going to be doing user research, as we mentioned earlier. We'll talk about that in more depth. We'll conduct user research with selected users, both via survey and through one-on-one interviews to solicit feedback and inform improvements.
So I just wanted to add one other thing too, because there are people who are using external link checkers, and they can be sometimes problematic because we try to protect our networks against super high traffic and bots and other things which impact the service for everybody. And so we've built this thing specifically so that it goes through our backend network, so it doesn't actually impact latency or load times or force us to have to scale up tons and tons of systems to be able to handle this. So if anyone's wondering why can't I use my own link checker, you can if your own link checker is behaving as a good net citizen and doesn't hammer away at our servers. Otherwise, I think we're hoping that this will be a better tool for you. That's all.
Thank you, Christopher. Okay, we're going to talk about user research. And Michelle, if you're willing to take it away, the first opportunity is the broken link checker thing I mentioned. Anything you want to say about that?
For sure. Just that we are going to be doing research, testing the broken link checker, making sure that it is meeting your needs and making any improvements that need to roll out with it as it keeps going. So feel free to sign up for an interview session for that. And we're also doing another round of research around the book information page. We want to make metadata easier for people to make accurate in their book. And so we also have another session, we're working to make sure that organization of the book info page does work really well. And again, we also offer a thank you of $25 for anyone that does participate in those user research sessions. So those are two things that are coming up. And lastly, we also have some micro-credential-style research going on. And Julie is the one that is really taking this one on. So if you are interested in exploring micro-credential type learning experiences, feel free to contact Julie at julie@pressbooks.com.
All right, webinars, events, and conferences. I'm running out of time, but I'll try to be brief. We have an upcoming webinar about the accessibility authoring tool that Ricardo demoed earlier. It's on October 14th. It will be from noon to 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time. You can register with this link. Please do. It's going to introduce you to the authoring tool. It will be designed for end users, but network managers are also welcome. And then we also had a recent webinar the recording's now available that we co-hosted with CCC OER and OE Global. It was around creating OER for vocational publishing, and it was a welding program. Really cool, really interesting. They went under the hood. So if you're doing education for the trades or just want to see how a collaborative team built a really impressive OER, that webinar is available and it's on YouTube and it was pretty fun. Some upcoming training opportunities. Every month we offer these 3 sessions for free. Getting started with Pressbooks, create engaging learning materials with Pressbooks, and prepare your book for publication and distribution. We just completed the September round, but the October round will be on the 6th, the 21st, and the 29th. And we're going to be at the Open Education Conference. Several of us will be there. Bashak will be there, Julie will be there, John will be there, I'll be there, and Jen will be there. And we're excited to see any of you who are also there. We'll be on several panels. We'll be probably seeing you at events. If you do OER karaoke, several of us will be there. Usually it's a great time. If you're not able to travel or there's reasons why you can't get to the United States, we totally understand. It's a weird, rough time. But if you will be there in person, we'd love to connect with you. And Thank you everybody for coming out. We really appreciate your time and what you do. I'm going to stop the recording now